In 2014, this guy was a one-man roofing crew. One truck, one ladder, and a phone that barely rang. He did the tear-off, the install, the cleanup, the invoicing, all of it himself. 10 years later, his company did over $8 million in revenue. Now here's the part that matters. He is not smarter than you. He didn't invent anything. He didn't get lucky with one giant job. He made a series of specific, mostly boring decisions that any roofer, any contractor could copy. So let's walk through exactly how a guy with one truck built an $8 million roofing business and the decisions that actually moved the needle. And stick around, because the third one is the decision most contractors get wrong for years. For the first 2 years, Danny was the business. If he didn't swing the hammer, nothing got built and no money came in. He was working 70 hours a week and making decent money, but he wasn't building a company. He owned a job. And that's the first thing he figured out. A one-man operation has a hard ceiling. You can only roof so many houses with your own two hands. To grow, he had to stop thinking like a roofer and start thinking like the owner of a roofing business. That single shift is where the $8 million actually started. The first real problem he attacked was leads. For years, his work came from word of mouth, which is great, right up until the phone goes quiet for 3 weeks and you panic. So Danny stopped treating leads like luck and started treating them like a system. He asked every happy customer for a Google review, and he made it easy, a text with a link the same day the job finished. He knocked doors in the neighborhood after every storm, because if one roof had hail damage, 20 more nearby did too. He set up a simple referral reward for past customers, and he tracked the one number most contractors never look at: cost per lead. Once he knew it cost him about $150 to generate a lead and that he closed 1 in 3, he knew exactly what a new customer cost him to win. Leads stopped being a mystery and became a machine he could turn up or down. Here's the third decision, the one most contractors get wrong for years: estimating. In the early days, Danny quoted jobs from his gut. He'd eyeball a roof, think of a number that felt about right, and hope. Some jobs he made great money, some he lost his shirt, and he couldn't tell you which was which until it was over. So he built estimating discipline. He measured every roof the same way, using roofing estimating software and aerial measurements instead of guessing. He built his price up from his real costs, materials, labor, overhead, then his profit margin on top, the same way every single time. Now every estimate was consistent, fast, and profitable. He could hand a homeowner a quote the same day instead of a week later, and he already knew his margin before he ever signed. Estimating stopped being a guess and became a formula. That led straight into pricing. For years, Danny competed by being the cheapest guy in town, and being the cheapest is a trap because there is always someone willing to go broke faster than you. So he made an uncomfortable decision. He raised his prices. He stopped apologizing for being more expensive and started selling why. Better materials, a real warranty, a crew that showed up on time and cleaned up after themselves. Yes, he lost some bids. He lost the price shoppers, the ones who would have been a headache anyway. But his profit margin on every job went up, which meant he made more money on fewer jobs. He stopped chasing revenue and started protecting margin. A $200,000 month at 30% margin beats a $300,000 month at 10%.
Then Danny doubled down on the thing almost every contractor underrates: customer experience. Roofing is a low-trust industry. Homeowners have all heard the horror stories: the contractor who took the deposit and vanished, the crew that left nails all over the driveway. So Danny made the experience itself his marketing. He answered the phone. He showed up when he said he would. He sent a text when the crew was on the way, walked the customer through the job, and did a final cleanup walkthrough at the end. Simple stuff, but it generated 5-star reviews, and those reviews generated more leads, which lowered his cost per lead, which let him spend more on growth. That is a flywheel. Do great work, get reviews, win more jobs. Repeat. Now, none of this scales if the owner is still up on the roof. So Danny made the scariest decision for most tradespeople. He hired. And his first hire wasn't a salesperson or an assistant, it was a roofer. So Danny could get off the roof and go sell and estimate the work that actually grew the company. He hired for attitude and work ethic and trained the skill. Because you can teach someone to install a roof, you can't easily teach someone to care. Every hire after that bought back more of his time, a crew lead so he didn't have to run every crew himself, an office manager so he wasn't doing paperwork at midnight. Each person he added let him focus on the few things only the owner could do. But hiring people without systems just multiplies the chaos, so Danny wrote things down. Not some fancy manual, just simple checklists. How a crew sets up a job site, how an estimate gets built, what a good customer call sounds like, how the final cleanup gets inspected. Once the process lived on paper instead of in his head, he could hand it to someone else and get a consistent result without hovering over them. That's the difference between delegating and just dumping. He handed off estimating, then production, then even sales, one system at a time. Every task he documented and handed off, he stopped being the bottleneck, and the company could do more without him touching it. Here's the one that quietly kills fast-growing roofers: cash flow. Because growth eats cash. Every new crew, every new job means materials and payroll going out the door before the customer ever pays. So Danny collected a deposit up front. He billed in stages on the bigger jobs. He invoiced the day the work was done, not at the end of the month. He kept a cash reserve so a slow-paying customer was an annoyance, not an emergency. And he financed his big equipment instead of draining the bank account to buy it. He grew on purpose at a pace his cash could actually support instead of growing himself broke. Plenty of profitable roofers go under because they ignore this. Danny didn't. And underneath all of it was execution, doing the same things the same way over and over. He tracked a handful of numbers every week: his close rate, his gross margin, jobs completed, cost per lead. When a number slipped, he caught it before it became a crisis. He wasn't chasing some genius strategy. He was running the same proven playbook again and again, a little better each time. And over 10 years, that consistency built a reputation. In his town, his company became the name people thought of the moment they needed a roof. And that reputation became the cheapest, most powerful lead source of all. So if you take nothing else from this video, take these 3 lessons. Lesson 1. Get out of the truck as fast as you responsibly can. Your job as the owner is to build the business, not to be the business. The first hire that buys back your time is the highest return move you will ever make. Lesson 2. Know your numbers. Price for margin, not to be the cheapest. Track your cost per lead and your close rate. You cannot grow what you do not measure. Lesson 3. Build systems, not heroics. Write down how the work gets done so it doesn't all live in your head. A business that depends on you can never grow past you. None of this is flashy. Danny didn't have a secret. He had discipline repeated for 10 years. And that is something you can start building this week. If this was useful, subscribe to Contractor Growth Lab, where we break down how real trade businesses actually grow. The numbers, the decisions, the systems, none of the hype. And tell me in the comments, what's the one decision that moved the needle most in your business? I'll see you in the next one.